momentous day. We have just seen Trump and Starmer's press conference, but let's do a blow, easy for me to say, of Starmer's big day out in Washington. It started with Trump taking the mickey out of him for wearing what is probably one of Lord Ali's suits.
Ready, shot.
Yeah, nice suit, he said, nice suit. Then Trump sat next to the PM, who voted Remain and wanted a second referendum, and then he praised Brexit.
I thought, frankly, what they did was the right thing at the time, and I think that'll probably prove out over the centuries. You have a long time to go, but I think I predicted that was going to happen, and it did happen.
In fact, the only reason we can have a big, beautiful trade deal that Trump was talking about at the end there is because of Brexit. So Keir Starmer reaping the rewards of 17.4 million people voting to leave the European Union. David Lammy was in the room, probably a little bit awkward, given Lammy has previously said stuff like this.
A president who would line up with neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan.
What do you think about it? In the last couple of days, David Lammy has seen foreign aid slashed, something that he obviously has never wanted, in fact, quite the opposite, and he is now sitting alongside Trump in the Oval Office there, greeting him as a friend, and then he's going to be welcoming him to Britain on that state visit. It's almost like he doesn't have any principles at all, isn't it? But you could tell Keir Starmer was a little bit uncomfortable because he was sitting there like that. Who sits like that, really? Bit weird? No, him and Trudeau have something in common. But then things got better because Starmer presented Trump with an offer from King Charles.
This is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit. This is really special. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented. And I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship.
Yes, there we go. I'll just say it again. They've changed their tune when it comes to Trump visiting Britain, haven't they? But it then appeared that Trump backs the Chagos deal. Now, I will say this. I think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye, but here it is.
Well, we're going to have some discussions about that very soon, and I have a feeling it's going to work out very well. They're talking about a very long-term, powerful lease, a very strong lease, about 140 years, actually. That's a long time. And I think we'll be inclined to go along with your country. Yeah.
Yes, what he went on to say was that he kind of really needs to see the details. So I would just say watch this space when it comes to the Chagos deal. There was a little bit of a humiliation for Starmer there as J.D. Vance confronted him to his face over free speech.
Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time.
Yeah, OK, tell that to the people who are currently behind bars for Facebook posts, though, Prime Minister. And Trump probably came out with the line of the day, showing Starmer up a bit over defence and Russia.
Would you take on Russia by yourselves?
Well...
No! Anyway, so there we go. All in all, I think it was a very good day for Keir Starmer. This could have been an absolute disaster. Let's be honest. This could have been a disaster from start to finish. And it really wasn't. And it culminated in Trump saying that he could get two deals. One for peace in Ukraine and one for a trade deal with us in Britain that might not require any tariffs, the kind of tariffs he's slapping around the rest of the world. So there we are. Let's whiz ourselves over to my wonderful panel. I've got former Conservative MP Anna Firth, I've got Tory peer Lord Bailey, and I've got ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larzer. Well, look, I'll tell you what, let's deal with this visit now. So he's laid it on thick. You know, the way to Trump's heart, as it would be to most people's hearts, is to say the King would like to see you. And that's fantastic. It's an unprecedented trip, and that's great. But you've got David Lammy sitting there, who's previously said that he'd take to the streets if Trump visited, who did take to the streets, and has said that he'd line up next to neo-Nazis and all of that stuff. Sadiq Khan hoisted a blimp with Trump as a baby over London last time. Keir Starmer said he wouldn't have him round for dinner. I mean, there it is. Look at all of that stuff. You know, Labour were full square.
It's not orange enough.
Were full square behind this kind of stuff the last time Trump was in office. So what is it? Is it realpolitik, or have they got no principles?
Well, I think we now know the price of a state visit. It must be £18 billion. That must be somehow or another, Keir Starmer has persuaded Trump not to say anything about Chagos. You know, the obvious thing that we would have liked Trump to say, to put an end to this ridiculous waste of money, and somehow or another Keir Starmer's got in there with his letter from the King, and sucked up to Trump, and Trump has been absolutely charming. But I would much rather Trump would say what he thinks. We know he thinks that the Chagos deal is completely rubbish. He thinks it's a complete waste of money, and it is a waste of money, and we want to get rid of it.
Well, what do you make of that then? Just dealing with the fact that the big kind of ace in the hole was right. You come and meet the King for the second time. You know, do you think they're a bit hypocritical in Labour? I mean, David Lammy especially, sitting there with Trump, you know, has previously come out and said, you know, he loves foreign aid. That's gone. I mean, if that guy had any shame, wouldn't he resign?
Look, what a lot of Labour politicians are going to have to learn is what you say in opposition doesn't stay in opposition, it comes with you. And that's their integrity is a question for them. I think what Trump's administration has shown today is that they are the grown-ups. In Europe, we regularly write about Trump as if he's some child, and he's done many things that you could probably point to. But today, where Keir Starmer's concerned, he has Keir Starmer on the back foot because of things that Keir Starmer's team have done in the past, including Mandelson as well. But look, there's bigger things afoot. People in politics say horrible things all the time. But when it comes down to it, David Lammy will do the right thing for the country, at least as he sees it.
Yeah.
And that's the point, isn't it?
Well, let me put this to you, Matthew, that actually, you know, Trump there has been very welcoming. He's been really on top of it, very polite, very positive, very nice by Keir Starmer. In fact, I would say that President Trump has done Keir Starmer a few absolutely massive favours today. Do you think Labour look a bit silly for the hysterical way they've treated him for the last few years?
Well, look, let's just deal with this. What people say in opposition about American presidents. I had the conversation the other day with the person who I'm old enough to remember the 1992 American election when it was Bill Clinton against George Bush Sr. And when the Tories had just won the election here earlier in '92, and they sent out their whole attack team who came up with the Labour's double whammy on taxes, and they sent them out to help the Republicans, help George Bush Sr. Try and win, and he lost. And so, you know, all parties do it.
Nobody in Britain can come out and go, we hate Trump, we don't share any of the same values, it's orange man.
Yeah, of course you can. I don't share Donald Trump's values. Absolutely. Because I'm not the Prime Minister. No, I'm not the Prime Minister. I think Donald Trump is wrong on most things. So do the American people. He's got the worst approval record of an American president at this time. Fact. Just go and look it up. Just look up the figures. At the moment, he's actually having real problems at home. And one of the reasons he's being nice to Keir Starmer is because he needs some allies, because he can't be alone in the world. But of course the Prime Minister is behaving prime ministerially. That's his job. And just contrast now with what you might have got with Boris, who'd have buffooned his way through that conference and got the name of the country wrong.
I think actually you say something quite interesting there, Matthew, and I actually agree with you on this, because actually 43% of American people value the special relationship. So actually, Trump being as pro the special relationship, he is actually playing to his domestic audience as well.
All right. I'm just so later on in the show, I should probably tell you, we have a body language expert on, and I always love these segments because there's so many little clips that we can take. There is one that I
thought you were going to do our body language for a minute.
You sit like Starmer. Anyway, but there we go. So there's but I just wanted
we taught this in the Labour school.
To introduce a clip now that I've only just become aware of. I'm seeing this for the first time. Of maybe this articulates the power dynamic between Trump and Starmer. Let's play it.
You mentioned Canada. I think you're trying to find a divide between us that doesn't exist. We're the closest of nations, and we had very good discussions today, but we didn't discuss Canada.
Thank you.
do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Look, at the end of the day, look, Donald Trump is a huge character. We all know that. You're in his house, you're in his country, he's riding high, and you have arrived...
Well, his own mind, not in the polls.
Well, no, you arrive on the back foot because of comments that your Foreign Secretary and your ambassador to America have made, so you're on the back foot. And it reminds me of when Bush met Blair, and he sort of put his hand on Blair's back. That immediately made him a teenager immediately in the room. American presidents, I think there's a school that teaches them to take the power in the room. You've seen it.
Well, we saw the Australian Prime Minister of years gone by do that with Her Late Majesty the Queen. So, I mean, sometimes there's a kind of trying to own the room. It can go to extreme.
I actually think that Trump looks a lot more relaxed, a lot less petulant. It doesn't look as if he's holding grudges this second term compared with the first.
I mean,
whether he knows he hasn't got another term coming.
Yeah, I think that must be it.
All about legacy.
I think on the lecterns, I wonder what the wide shot shows about whether or not he's had his lectern made so he looks taller. Because I think they're both thinking roughly the same height.
Behind me here, actually, this wide shot. I mean, it's difficult to tell because it could just be the camera.
Yeah, but it looked to me...
I mean, he is just taller, though. Keir Starmer's quite a small man.
I mean, how tall is Donald Trump? He's not that... I mean...
I'm going to say 6'2".
Here's a fact for you. My old boss, Ed Miliband, is the tallest man ever to lead the Labour Party.
Oh, really?
We're exactly the same height.
Worse, probably. But,
oh, certainly not. That's Jeremy Corbyn. That's Jeremy Corbyn.
We just played a clip of J.D. Vance, who was... Well, he was asked about it, but he did. He was true to his word. He said he was going to confront Keir Starmer. I think he was a bit softer than he maybe could have been on this. But let's play this clip of J.D. Vance over free speech.
Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and, by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time.
Well, just before I go to my panel on this, to react to that, because there was quite a lot to get stuck into there, I believe we can take down the line from Washington our political editor, Christopher Hope. Oh, good stuff. Fantastic. Well, you were in the room, Christopher. You saw it. You're, as our political editor, go on, I'll throw it over to you. What do you make of what you saw and you experienced today?
I think it's gone as well as could be expected, Patrick. You've got the PM came here nervously, not saying much to avoid offending the President of the United States. He's left here with the offer of a trade deal to avoid tariffs. Don't forget, European countries are facing 25% tariffs on cars and others. We are not going to get that, according to President Trump. That's a good thing. He's getting in return a state visit and a promise of a second visit to Balmoral to discuss that state visit, and there he is there. I think I was interested in watching the two. I was in the Oval Office literally about 2 meters from them moments ago. It was quite a warm, I thought, a warm discussion. I think Keir Starmer let Donald Trump take the lead. That's a polite thing, maybe. It was Trump's show, and Trump was calling it as he saw it. But I think what the big thing that hasn't happened is any actual agreement on whether the US will underwrite safety of UK troops if British troops are deployed in Ukraine. That's what I'd worry about. It hasn't happened yet. Here behind me in the White House tomorrow, you'll see President Zelensky meeting with Trump to sign a minerals deal. On Sunday, 18 countries gather in London, convened by Sir Keir Starmer to agree the way he's forward on a peace deal with Russia. We'll wait and see how that goes, but we haven't got any actual guarantee here that British troops will be protected by American firepower if there is a peace deal. That's what I'd worry about. But you've got to say, the optics were good. It could have gone a lot worse. The Chagos deal, the one that's been attacked so much by the right, looks like it's going to go ahead and get agreed. I think this is a win for Keir Starmer, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I think, let's be honest, so many people in Britain were kind of expecting it to go quite badly, I think. And I think that was reasonable, given maybe Keir Starmer's performances previously. I think that was really maybe that was probably more likely than not, actually. And so fair play. You know, he's gone there. I think that trade deal thing at the end is massive. I mean, it looks as though, at face value, we might have got a big win over Chagos, which, you know, I do have to say I think many people in this country would disagree with that going ahead, but if Trump's waved it through, then so be it. You know, so there we are. Can I ask you a question, though, Christopher, if that's all right? So what are your movements like now, then? So are you about to get back on Keir Starmer's plane, are you, and jet back to Britain? Is that... So what's it like on the plane? What is it? Have you got kind of a trolley service that comes down? Do you have to put up with Robert Preston?
The food's quite good. The food's quite good, Patrick. Yeah, we're in a kind of we're in the cheap seats at the back with all the press. In kind of flying beds are all the officials and the Prime Minister at the very front. He comes back and talks to us. It's called a huddle, and we ask him questions. There's about 25 travelling press pack with Sir Keir Starmer. It's a great honour to do it. I do it with obviously GB News, and they support me doing it. But we do try and hold it to account whenever we can. It is quite, I think it's one of these. I think this has been a big moment for Keir Starmer. This week, for me, he's learned how you have to govern. You can't be in opposition all the time. I think cutting the aid budget is so difficult for a Labour leader. He's done that. He's putting the money into defence. I think this may have a bearing on the polls. I think it's a worry for Nigel Farage and Reform UK. How do they respond to that? Because the world's getting a more dangerous place. He said he'll back our troops. What would Farage do? He said remarks in the past about Putin, which would be questionable now. I think he's done. I think he's had a good week, Sir Keir Starmer, and we can't say many times in the past 7 months.
Yeah, and sorry, Chopper, just while I've got you, mate, one last one, if you don't mind, because it was just on that foreign aid thing. David Lammy was in the room, and I'm really keen because the cameras were really focused on Starmer and Trump, basically. But I just thought it was quite funny, this, because what was David Lammy like? I mean, he's the one who's said some of the most damaging stuff about Trump, really. Yeah. Foreign aid has been cut, which Lammy obviously wouldn't have wanted as well. So what was he? Was he kind of just sitting there a bit sheepishly? How was he?
Yeah, he was sitting there alongside Sir Keir Starmer, facing JD Vance. I was going to ask, if I had a chance to ask Sir Keir Starmer a second question. He did say, by the way, he liked my nice smile and things, by the way, Patrick. So he was quite polite about me in the Oval Office in a very strange way. I've never had that kind of respect from the president, leader of the free world. Not even from you, Patrick, but I'll let that go. Wow. No, I was going to ask him, we have heard it from David Lammy, those remarks in 2018. Lammy told us that he thinks that he's moved on. Well, has Donald Trump moved on? He was let off that question. I think, in a sense, it's a drawing a line under the opposition behaviour of Labour as this government seeks to build a relationship with the US for all our benefit.
Absolutely. Well, look, I better let you go to wherever you need to get the heck out of Washington. But thank you.
Shall I show you around? I mean, this literally, this is the White House behind me. Can you see it?
Okay.
So and we're leaving here. I'm not a very good cameraman, am I? But there we are. That's the time. We're leaving now to head to the Andrews Air Force Base and fly home.
Well, a job well done, Christopher. Thank you very much, as always. Well done. Look forward to seeing you back in the office ASAP. Christopher Hope there, our political editor.